So team, I am interested in showing you some a bit of iExpense navigation. So thank you again for just logging in video. So what happened is that sometimes when you're dealing with iExpense, you might find you may need to add a new expense type. For instance, let me change this. This is the expense home function. So if I double click it, it will navigate to the web page form, and this is where you can be able to create the expense report. So in the moment, you might find sometimes the kind of expense you want to create, it's not defined. So for instance, let's first of all try to see what I'm trying to mean. We click on or we select create expense report, and once we come here, assuming the other details or parameters or information are constant, we may change maybe the expense template and say it's Nairobi reimbursement expense. Okay, and you have the option to save or even probably go to next if you want to complete it at the same moment. So once you click on next, you should come to create expense report, cash and other expenses page. So on this window, you come and probably provide the date, which is 16th of February 2024, put amount, maybe 1200. Then you come to iExpense, for instance. I mean the expense type, excuse me, you want to expense or to submit the expense type of, for instance, a station. But now once you come here at the expense type, you'll find like you only have office wipes probably. So what happens is that maybe you would like to have a different type of expense, different from what has already been defined, and you can be able to see them under the drop down. So what happens is that you need to add that expense type so that you can be able to come and select it under the expense type when you're creating your expense report. So what happens is you're supposed to go back to the Oracle Java Forms, and you change or you switch responsibility, go to payables. Okay, you can use payables manager. So under payables manager, you can use Control L. You search for expense report templates. So definitely the expense report templates window will open, and here this is the page whereby you define the templates that you can be able to maintain the expense item, and expense item is what on the expense report page we call expense type. So for instance, in our case, we have Nairobi reimbursement expense as our template name. So I can query, for instance, query mode, say Nairobi percentage for F11. So we have Nairobi reimbursement expense. So under this, already we have enabled this template for internet expense, that is iExpense, meaning the users or the employee can be able to launch their expense report through the web page for iExpense, or the web page for expense report. So in our case here, you can see we have one expense item, and this is the office type, the one that we could see from the other end. So probably here we can add an expense like site visits, expense, or we just call it just site visits or site visit. So once we call it site visit, into bracket we can call it maybe is travel, kind of travel allowance. Then once you have provided this, the next step you're supposed to do is to provide the GR account. If there is tax code applicable, you can as well provide it under the tax code column. But the main item that you'll find, for instance, because this instance is for demo purposes, the main you'll find when you are doing it for a client, or probably for your internal use in your business or in your company, you'll find the GR account will have been made to be mandatory, so that it can be able to, once this expense has been lodged, it can be able to be linked to the GL account that it will be expensive. So GL account is a must provide when you are using this functionality, whereby you can look for travel expense or travel account. Let's see whether there is, yeah, there is miscellaneous travel expenses. So we can assign that GL code to the site travel. Then the others are not mandatory, like project expenditure type. It's based on the nature of your company policy, if you want to maintain. Then there is something like policy schedule, data capture rule, and there's end date. So those ones are based on the nature of the expense you are maintaining. Probably it's an expense you would like maybe for a certain period, and you come and after the period elapses, you can come and date it here. So once you have provided this, you can come and save your work. Once you have saved your work, the system will indicate here down like one record applied and saved. So with this, we can now be able maybe probably to load an expense or an expense report for travel or site visit. So we go back to web page. Let's see whether it has updated. Not yet. So what we can do, we can just click on expense report. The system will ask you the changes you made to this page have not been saved. If you continue, the changes will be discarded. You wish to continue, tell the system yes, tell it okay. We are refreshing the expense report web page. You can see this is the expense report web page. So here we can create a new expense report. And we need to change the expense template. You can create as many expense template as your company requires or as your business requires. And yeah, for the purpose of different needs, you can save it if you don't want to continue as per now. But if you want to continue and finish it, you can just be able to click next. Once you click on next, you can come in now, provide the date. Okay. Select. receipt amount, I'll say it's 1500. Okay. And then expense type, we expect to see two. There is that site, which is site visit into bracket, travel, and also the office wipes. So let's select the drop down. So it has not updated. Let's see why. Can go back. So saved accordingly. System is saying there's nothing to save. So what we can do, can close this and query it again. So here's query, put in query mode, Nairobi. So we have it here, saved accordingly. So let's go to our web page. This one we can completely exit. Actually, we can close it. Just close it. And now from the payables, from the Java Forms window, you can go to iExpense. iExpense responsibility. Expense. So go to L. Oh, not this one. Go to see iExpense. See whether our system is active. This is okay. Sorry, I'm using the control L instead of switching responsibility. Expense. Sorry for that. Yeah, this iExpense, this is what you're looking for. And expenses home. We press enter. Now we try to create expense report again. So expense template is Nairobi reimbursement expense. Click on next. Click on next. Now under expense type, we try and see whether we can be able to see it. Good, it's there. So it has updated the site visit travel. So that's how we add a new expense type. And now the other information you can continue until you submit your expense report. Thank you for watching.